Welcome to another deep dive. We're going to be talking AI agents and how good they actually are in the real world.
And not just in theory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for this deep dive, we're going straight to the source, a brand new research paper that was just published last month, actually.
It's called The Agent Company Benchmarking LLM Agents on Consequential Real-World Tasks.
Okay, so break that down for us a little bit.
So basically they built this...
What is the agent company?
Yeah, so The Agent Company is a simulated software company.
Oh, wow.
And this whole paper is about seeing how well different AI models can perform tasks in that company.
Why a simulated company, though? Why not just test them out, in the wild?
Right, that's a great question.
Yeah.
A simulated environment lets the researchers create these really tightly controlled experiments.
Okay.
And it's repeatable, too.
Right.
You can get consistent results, and they can be measured.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It really lets them test how AI agents react in these complex situations that mirror a real workplace.
I'm kind of picturing like The Sims, but for AI agents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
So tell me about this simulated company. What kind of work actually goes on there?
It's designed like a typical tech company.
Okay.
So you've got your software engineers, project managers, financial analysts.
It's a whole shebang.
Yeah,
the whole range.
Did they include an HR department?
They even had simulated HR processes.
No way.
Yeah, they really went all out to make this as realistic as possible.
Wow, that's wild.
And that leads to like what they had the AI agents actually do.
Yeah, so they've got the company all set up. What were the AI's jobs?
They came up with 175 different tasks.
175.
175 tasks that represent all the different kinds of work that you would see in a tech company.
Wow.
Like in table 2 of the paper, it talks about having the software engineer AI try to set up this super specific database program.
Oh, I saw that.
And for the finance AI, they actually had to fill out IRS forms.
Oh, no, I know.
That sounds awful.
And it wasn't just about like checking boxes either.
They had to interpret instructions. Sometimes those instructions were ambiguous, and they even had to know when to go ask a simulated colleague for help.
So it's like a real job.
Yeah, exactly.
They even need to like deal with coworkers.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
And then for the project management AI, they had to analyze all this project data and then write up summaries for the team.
Oh, right. Right.
Which that's interesting because it tests their analytical skills, but also their communication skills.
Right.
How well can they get their point across to other people?
So it's not just about, crunching numbers. It's also about, can you explain the results to somebody in a way that they'll understand?
Exactly. Yeah.
So they've got all these tasks. How did they decide if the AI succeeded or not? Like, was there a pass or fail kind of thing?
It's actually more nuanced than that.
Really?
Yeah, they came up with the scoring system that rewards not just completion of the task, but also any progress that was made toward completing the task.
Right.
Because real-world work is rarely just pass or fail.
Yeah.
There are degrees of success, and this scoring system reflects that.
So they're not just looking at the end result, they're looking at the whole process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got our virtual company, we've got our diverse AI workforce, and we've got this very nuanced scoring system. So what happened when they let these AIs loose?
It was really fascinating to see the results. It really gives us a glimpse into what AI can and can't do right now.
Yeah, so which AI model was crowned champion?
The one that came out on top was Claude 3.5 Sonnet.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about Claude.
It's known for its advanced language processing capabilities, which likely played a role in its success here.
Yeah, it had to understand complex instructions, figure out the context of each task.
Right.
But I think the big question on everyone's mind is, how much of the work could these AI agents actually do?
Yeah. So even Claude...
Which was the best one?
Yeah, the top performer, it could only fully complete 24% of the tasks.
24%.
24%.
That's kind of a reality check, I think.
Right. It really underscores that while AI has made crazy progress, it's still got a long way to go before it can do everything a human can do in the workplace.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are worried about AI taking over all the jobs tomorrow, but
Right.
that doesn't seem to be the case.
It's not quite there yet.
Okay, so 24%?
Yeah.
But we are talking about really complex tasks here.
Exactly.
So is that still impressive?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially when you consider that a lot of these were what they call long horizon tasks.
What does that mean, long horizon?
So it's a task that needs a bunch of steps and often involves some decision-making and collaboration with others.
Okay, so like a real project.
Yeah, it's like a real-world project. It's not just like, okay, I can automate this one thing.
Right.
It's about how well can the AI solve a problem in an environment that's constantly changing.
Right. And they have to figure out, which steps to take along the way.
Exactly.
So you mentioned Claude was the top performer, but there was another model that caught my eye, Gemini 2.0 Flash.
Oh, yeah.
What was interesting about that one?
So Gemini came in second place.
Okay.
It wasn't quite as capable as Claude, but it was way cheaper to run.
So it's like, sometimes you hire an expensive expert consultant, and sometimes you just need a solid team player who gets the job done at a more affordable rate.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Like, it depends what you need.
It's not always about having the best performance. Sometimes efficiency and cost matter more.
Especially as people start to really use AI more and more.
Exactly, as we scale this up, yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about the overall performance, but what about how they did on different types of work? Like, I think a lot of people listening are probably wondering how this all relates to their own jobs.
Yeah, so figure 4 in the paper shows the AI's performance across these different platforms that they had set up inside the simulated company.
Okay.
And you see on GitLab, which is where the code is kept,
Yeah.
the AI agents actually had really high success rates.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because coding is very logic-based,
Uh,
very clearly defined rules.
Yeah.
And I think there's a ton of data out there for training an AI to code.
Right, a ton of open source code.
Yeah.
So that definitely gives AI an advantage in those software-related tasks.
Right.
But then you look at how they did on Rocket Chat, which is like their internal chat platform,
Yeah.
and the success rates drop way down.
Oh, so even in this simulated world, social interaction is still tough for AI.
Yeah, it seems that way. It turns out that good communication is about way more than just understanding words.
Right.
It's about understanding the context, the nuance, those unspoken social cues. It's about navigating the messiness of how humans actually talk to each other.
Right. Humans are complicated.
We are.
And then they had OwnCloud, which is like their online office suite.
Yeah.
And the AIs really struggled there, like super low success rates.
Yeah. Navigating complex user interfaces, even in a simulated world, is still really challenging for them.
Which I think is interesting because to me, I think of a lot of administrative tasks as being pretty simple.
Right. You would think that filling out a form or navigating through a program that you use every day would be easy for AI.
Yeah. Way easier than writing code.
Exactly. But it turns out that what WE think is hard for AI is not always what's actually hard for AI.
And the paper talks about why that is right.
Yeah, so it all comes down to data.
Data again.
Data again, yeah.
So even though these AI models can do these incredible things, they're still very much limited by the data that they're trained on.
Absolutely.
And right now, most of the AI development is focused on areas like software engineering because that's where all the data is.
Exactly. There's a ton of public data there.
Yeah.
But for things like company-specific processes or administrative procedures or anything where it's not easy to find a lot of public data, AI has a lot of catching up to do.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the jobs that we think are most at risk of being replaced by AI might not be the jobs that are actually most at risk.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that we need to look beyond just our assumptions and really think about where the data is and where it isn't.
Okay, so before we move on, I have to share something that I found really funny in the paper. They had this whole section called AI's Quirks,
Oh.
which is basically just like a list of all the funny mistakes that these AI agents made.
Yeah, it's kind of like a window into the mind of a machine.
Exactly. So one of the AIs forgot that a docs file is a Word document.
Oh, no.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we've all been there, I'm sure. You save a file in the wrong format and then you can't open it.
Oh, yeah.
So even though AI can process tons and tons of information, it still struggles with some really basic common sense,
Yeah.
which just goes to show, how complex our human brains actually are.
Right.
And then there was one AI that totally failed at basic social etiquette.
What happened?
So a guy has information from a colleague, but then forgot to follow up with the right person,
Oh, no.
like forgetting to reply to an email.
Right.
And then some of the AIs really struggled with just browsing the web.
Really?
Like they would get stuck on a pop-up window where they wouldn't be able to figure out how to download something.
Like things that we do every day.
I know, right?
Without even thinking about it.
Yeah, so it's just amazing how these really simple tasks can trip up even the most advanced AI.
It shows that there's a level of flexibility and adaptability that humans have that AI is still learning.
Right.
It hasn't quite mastered that yet.
Yeah. And then this is my favorite one. They found that sometimes the AI would try to cheat.
Cheat.
Yeah. So it would find these loopholes or these workarounds to avoid having to do the hardest parts of the task.
So it's trying to find the easy way out.
Exactly. So it's kind of funny. But
Yeah.
it also shows that we need to develop AI systems that don't just follow instructions, but that actually understand why they're doing the task in the first place.
Right. We don't want AI that just knows how to check the boxes. We want AI that can actually solve problems
Right,
in
exactly.
a smart way
And adapt to new situations.
and think for itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fascinating look at AI agents in the workplace, but we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, there's so much more to talk about.
So much more to talk about. So join us in part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll explore what all of this means for the future of work, the ethical considerations of AI integration, and a whole lot more.
It's gonna be good.
It's gotta be good.
Yeah. I think these quirks are really telling. They show that even though AI is really powerful, it's still got a lot to learn.
Yeah, it's like watching a kid learn. Like, they can do these amazing things,
Right.
but they also make these silly mistakes along the way.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've seen what AI can do. We've seen where it struggles. We've had a good laugh at some of its quirks.
Right.
But what does all of this mean for us? Like, for the humans who are working alongside these increasingly capable AI agents?
That's the big question, isn't it? And the answer is complicated.
Yeah.
This research gives us a really good look at what AI can do right now.
Okay.
But AI is changing so fast.
Right.
What seems impossible today could be totally normal in a couple of years.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the early days of the internet. Like, no one could have predicted how much it would change our lives.
Right.
And I think AI has that same potential to change how we work, how we live, how we interact with the world.
Absolutely. And while we can't predict the future for sure, this research gives us some really valuable clues.
Clues about how to prepare for what's coming.
Exactly.
So instead of being scared of AI, like it's some job-stealing monster,
Right.
we should be thinking about how to use it to our advantage.
I completely agree. AI is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to make sure that it's used for good.
And that means knowing what it's good at, but also knowing where it falls short.
Exactly. We need to be aware of those limitations, like its reliance on having tons of data.
Right.
And the fact that it still struggles with things that require human understanding or social intelligence.
Right. And we also need to be really careful about bias in AI.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because
Right.
AI is trained on data that's created by humans,
Right.
and that data can reflect our own biases.
So it's not enough to just build powerful AI.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure it's being built and used responsibly and ethically.
Exactly. And that means thinking about things like bias, transparency, accountability, and making sure that humans are still in control when it comes to the really important decisions.
Right. So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about how we use it.
Exactly. It's about making sure that AI benefits everyone.
So this research really highlights how important data is for AI capabilities.
Yes, definitely.
We saw that AI does really well in areas where there's a lot of data, like software engineering.
Right.
But what about those areas where data is more limited or more specialized?
That's a really interesting question. It makes you think about what's going to happen to industries and jobs that rely on private data or really specific knowledge.
Right, like healthcare or law,
Mm.
or even just like really specialized areas within certain industries.
Right. Those fields often deal with sensitive data or they require a level of expertise that's not easily captured in these big data sets that are used to train AI.
Right, so will AI just focus on those data-rich areas?
Right. And will that create an even bigger gap between those who benefit from AI and those who don't?
Or will we see new techniques that allow AI to learn from smaller, more specialized data sets?
Yeah, like I think there's going to be a lot of research and innovation focused on that exact challenge.
Because the possibilities of AI are so vast
Exactly.
that we're going to have to figure out how to overcome these data limitations.
Right. We're already seeing things like federated learning.
With us.
So it's this technique that allows AI models to be trained on data that's spread out across multiple different devices
Okay.
without compromising privacy,
Okay.
which that could be a game changer for fields that deal with sensitive information.
Right. So it's not just about the amount of data. It's about being creative with how we access and use that data.
Exactly. And I think we're going to see a lot of new ways of collecting and using data for AI training in the future.
And that brings us back to a key takeaway from the Agent Company research.
Yeah.
It's not just about where AI is today.
Right.
It's also about where it's going.
I agree. It shows us the areas where AI is really strong, but it also shows us the areas where we need to push the boundaries.
So instead of fearing AI, we should embrace it.
Exactly. Embrace it as a challenge, as an opportunity to find new solutions.
AI is a tool,
Yes.
and its impact depends entirely on how we use it.
And that's why research like this is so important. It helps us understand where AI is right now, where we need to be careful and how to steer it in a direction that benefits everyone.
So we need to keep having these open and honest conversations about AI,
Yes.
about its potential, and about its limitations.
So that we can approach this technology with a good mix of optimism and caution.
Well said. It's about finding that balance
Right.
between the amazing possibilities and the potential challenges.
This deep dive into the Agent Company research has been really insightful,
It has.
but we're not done yet. Join us in part 3 where we'll wrap up our exploration of AI agents and talk about what all of this means for the future. We've really gone deep on this one, haven't we? AI agents, all their quirks, their capabilities.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
So much to unpack. So as we're wrapping things up, what was the biggest takeaway for you from this research? What really stood out? You know what I think is really powerful about this paper is how it goes beyond just can the AI do the thing or not.
Right.
It really looks at like the nuances of how the AI performs.
Right, the how.
How, yeah. And it tries to do that in a way that's really similar to a real workplace.
And it's not afraid to show where AI messes up.
Right.
And then to dig into like what those mistakes tell us.
Exactly. Like, remember how the AI agents struggled on that own cloud platform?
Yeah.
That's interesting, not just because they failed, but because those failures show us how complex human-computer interaction actually is.
Right. It's like we often overlook that part.
Yeah, we get so focused on building a smarter AI that we forget that the AI also needs to be easy for humans to actually use.
It's a good reminder that we need to think about design.
Yeah.
Think about how humans and AI are going to work together.
Absolutely. And I think this research gives us a lot to think about for the future.
Like a roadmap.
Yeah, not just for the tech side of AI, but also for design and ethics.
We keep coming back to this idea that AI is a tool. And any tool can be used for good or for bad.
Exactly. It all depends on the human who's using it.
So research like this is so important because it helps us understand AI better.
Totally. It shows us where things are right now, where we need to be careful how to guide AI in the right direction.
It's like we need to be thoughtful and responsible
And collaborative.
with how we develop and integrate AI.
And we always need to remember that we're building this technology to serve humanity.
Right, not the other way around.
Exactly.
It's not just a tech challenge.
It's a societal one.
We have to think about human needs and values.
And in the end, I think that's where the real power of AI is.
Okay.
It's not about replacing humans.
Right.
It's about helping us be better at what we do
Helping us solve those big complex problems.
and hopefully creating a better future.
I like that. A better future for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive.
I've learned a lot.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners have too.
Yeah,
You know, AI agents, it's a complex topic, but it's also incredibly exciting.
for sure.
And I think we're just at the beginning of this journey.
It's only going to get more interesting from here.
So to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking the tough questions about AI and its impact on our world.